Have you ever seen those people who just light up a room? Those social butterflies who can make everyone laugh, tell engaging stories, and make everyone around them feel so incredibly special. If you clicked on this video, chances are you want to be more like those people. And whether you get nervous in social settings, overthink, or just want to make stronger connections, this video is going to teach you how to become the most charismatic person in the room. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna, and in this space we talk about how to level up and live our dream lives. We talk about things such as holistic wellness, feminine energy, and mindset. So if that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing and keep watching. As always, timestamps are down below and video chapters are as follows. I used to walk into unfamiliar settings, maybe it was a party or some sort of orientation, and this pit would immediately form in my stomach. And this was because I would start worrying if I was going to seem awkward or maybe even run out of things to say to someone. And I thought that I was the only one having these thoughts, whereas everyone else was just able to naturally move through these social settings. But what I later realized as I got older is that social anxiety is normal and everyone experiences it. Even those that seem like they don't have social anxiety have really just navigated how to work through those feelings. The good news is this is a skill that we can all develop, and we can think about it like a muscle that we work out. So if you've ever wanted to learn how to feel more cool, calm, and collected in a variety of social settings, then keep on watching. In order to master social confidence and become the most charismatic person in the room, there are two things that we have to focus on. Calming our internal world. That's all of the shyness, the anxiety, and the insecurity we might be facing. Then we can master our external environment. Really go out and make those connections with others, be a really good conversationalist, use your body language to move through a room, etc. So let's start by calming the inner world. A lot of people will feel this sort of social anxiety in a variety of settings because they're insecure, and this is because they're comparing themselves to others. They're looking at the height of one person or the looks of another person, the status, the clothes, the accomplishments. But rather than comparing yourself to any of that, there's only one thing that you need to be conscious of, and that is comfort. Ask yourself, can I be just as, if not more, comfortable than the person that I'm having this conversation with? Because comfort conveys a sense of confidence. If I was sitting here hunched over, stumbling over my words, I wouldn't seem very comfortable, nor would I seem very confident. So how do we actually show up in a comfortable way? The easiest way to do this is simply by slowing down. And this applies to so many things. Slowing down the way we speak, slowing down the way we move, not being afraid to take a pause, even slowing down your breath. Your aim should be to move slower than the other people in the room. And I don't mean in some awkward way like you're moving in slow-mo and everyone else is in regular speed, but I just mean take a second to pause, to breathe, and it's going to help you feel more comfortable and confident. That's why a lot of times when you see people practicing presentations or speeches, a lot of times the feedback you will hear is slow down, because they're so nervous, they're rushing through everything they have to say. Also take some time to observe others. You can pay attention to the slowest moving person in the room and ask yourself, okay, do they seem confident? Chances are they probably will. There are so many little things that if we just take the time to stop thinking so much about ourselves and look around, we can be keyed into. For example, blink rate. The amount that a person is blinking can tell a lot about their internal state and where their focus is. So fast blinking can often be a sign of stress, whereas less frequent blinking can be a sign of focus. So I was recently listening to one of the Diary of a CEO podcasts. They had this body language and behavior expert on, and he was saying that when he's up on stage, when he's giving a keynote speech, he will scan the audience, and if he notices that these people are blinking faster, like as he scans and he's seeing lots of collective blinks, he knows that he needs to switch the topic very quickly because the focus is not there. Whereas if there are less collective blinks as he looks across a row, that means that they're locked in. They are focused on the words that he is saying. And we can use these same cues as we are having a conversation with others. Micro expressions are another thing that we can be a little more tuned into when we take a step back and observe more and slow down versus being so focused on ourselves and the next word that's going to come out of our mouths. I made a whole video on how to read people like a book, so I won't spend too much time talking about micro expressions, but check out that video if you are interested. I think in addition to calm, this internal state, it's also really important that we acknowledge the fact that we don't have to be perfect. Being a little vulnerable, being comfortable enough to open up with people can actually bring a lot of psychological safety to an interaction, can make others feel more seen, and contribute to that sort of charisma. So for example, when I started going to a new church, I didn't know anybody there, and as lovely as the place was, you can absolutely feel a little out of place when you don't know anybody in a room. So I ended up sitting next to this really nice girl. We started having a conversation. I asked her when she started attending services, and she opened up and said, you know, I started going at this point. There was definitely a period where I would go and I didn't meet anybody, but then I started attending these events, and that was when I really started to meet people. And her being open and vulnerable enough to share her experience made me feel a lot more comfortable as somebody that was going through that exact experience. So don't feel the need to have this perfect spreadsheet of all of your accolades ready where you can't show any dents in your armor. It is okay to be a real person, because then it makes other people feel comfortable being their authentic selves as well. So hopefully going into social interactions now, you will feel a little less awkward. But let's talk about how to turn on the charm. To be that charismatic social butterfly that has people thinking, oh, I want to see that person again. You want to know what the sweetest sound is to the majority of the population. It is the sound of their own name. So the more we can use this in conversations, the better. This is a principle taken from an incredibly famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, written by Dale Carnegie, also linked in the description. Saying people's names is just one example of a much bigger principle that is honestly the biggest takeaway you need to get if you want to master social confidence. It's not just about saying someone's name. It's not just about letting somebody talk about themselves, but it's approaching conversations with a genuine curiosity about the other. As you navigate through the world, as you have conversations with others, remember that there is something to learn from every single person you encounter. Every single person knows something that you don't. So one, it's great because you get to learn new information, and two, it's great because you get to let other people talk about themselves, which people love to do. In fact, we can even quantify it if we want. I like to call it the golden ratio of conversations. You should be listening about 70% of the time and only talking about 30% of the time. This is really going to allow people to feel very special and important because you are taking precious time out of your day to listen to their interests, hobbies, etc. I really think this is one of the best nuggets for social charisma and magnetism, is just grasping the principle that it is not about you. How can you make somebody else feel special? How can you make them feel important? Well, to answer those questions, there are three main ways to do this. 1, our body language. 2, the words we say. And 3, the follow-up. So let's break down all three. How can we make someone feel important through our body language? Eye contact is an example that you hear all the time, but beyond that, leaning into the conversation, nodding your head to show that you are actively engaged and listening. Even if you tilt your head a little bit, this is something that people naturally do when they're engaged or interested in a conversation. So what I'm not telling you to do is manufacture all of these fake experiences. Like, it should be real, but when you are genuinely interested in what this other person is saying, you might find that you naturally tilt your head already. Also, mirroring someone's movement in very subtle ways. These are all things that signal attentiveness and interest. Have you guys ever seen a couple whose style is just so perfectly matched to the other? Or whose mannerisms or little secret language is just so clear, like, oh, I can tell that these people are together. That's because they have this deep, intimate connection. And so doing that on a much smaller scale, when we mirror someone's movements, we're kind of signaling this deeper connection, because it's like, okay, I see you. I'm moving like how you move. So if you've ever anticipated a social interaction or been in a conversation and wondered, what should I say, or how do I keep this conversation going? This part is for you. So I like to think about conversations like an art, kind of like the classic improv exercise of yes and. You want to see where this conversation can go. And oftentimes there are a million different routes you can take. So the biggest advice I have for navigating any type of convo is to think about it through a framework. Plugging my video on how to level up your intelligence, because we talk about the importance of thinking in frameworks. But regardless, you can think about your conversations like a funnel of strategic curiosity. In fact, that's what I'm going to call it, the funnel of strategic curiosity. So the conversation that you're having or the questions that you're going to be asking will likely start very broad, and eventually they'll get deeper the more this conversation progresses, or even in later conversations. So for example, when you're first meeting someone, it's very common to go over things like, do you live here, or do you live around the area? Maybe the person responds by saying, no, I moved from this city. Very baseline. You follow up by asking, oh, what made you move to this new place? A little deeper, but it obviously flows after the first question and is showing that genuine curiosity. I moved because I was tired of being in this city, or I had lived there my whole life, and I've been here for 3 years. Oh, okay, well, what would you say are the main differences between living in this place and this place? Do you see how each question or each addition builds on the previous conversation and goes from this broad general topic to something that's a little more specific, where you get to know more about this person on a deeper level? This is one of the best ways to get rid of any of this social awkwardness or anxiety, because it shifts the focus from yourself to now just simply being curious about the other person. Finally, the third way that we can show this genuine curiosity in others, which is truly going to make us incredibly magnetic, is to follow up based on the interactions that you have. This, I find, is where connections deepen, when you can remember the little things. In fact, one of my best friends has always been amazing at this. I and others will tell her stories or, little things from my life, and she will remember the names of people, the relationships of them to me. She'll remember, oh yeah, that was your aunt's husband, right? And I'm like, how did you remember that? I only mentioned that one time. But what if this doesn't come natural to you? I mean, it certainly didn't come natural to me as easy as it did for my close friend. If you're really bad at this, what you can do is go home and kind of reflect on the interactions that you had in the day and write down any important details. I used to do this thing where when people would tell me their birthday or someone in their lives' birthday, I would immediately whip out my phone and add that to my calendar and set an alert. That way when it came up, I could easily just remember, oh, I need to text this person. Aim to have daily social interaction. Remember, we have to think about this like a muscle to work. We're not just gonna wake up one day and walk into a room and be this incredibly charismatic person. We have to actually work at it. And so the more often we can socialize with others, the more practice we get. So I'm not saying to organize some elaborate hangout every single night, but I'm saying don't be afraid to chat with the grocery clerk or your Uber driver. Call up your grandparents on the regular. Send a text to your friends from high school. Compliment someone out at the gym. Don't just limit your social interactions to the people you are obliged to see, like maybe your work colleagues or the people in your household. And even better if you can ritualize these social interactions. It's going to be a lot easier to remember the important details in someone's life when you see them once a week. Then at your following book club, you can follow up and say, oh hey, how was that test that you had to take? Or how's your mom doing after that procedure? Whatever the case may be, it's going that extra mile or that extra inch even, just asking that one additional question that's going to make someone feel incredibly valued and incredibly special. So the next time you are in a social setting and you feel those nerves starting to get to you, I want you to first remember that everybody experiences those feelings. You are not alone and you are not unique for feeling a little bit nervous. It's not even really a bad thing that our bodies are like this. What it really just signals is that you care about that social interaction, and this evolved from our ancestors. But the more you are willing to put yourself in those situations and kind of work through that discomfort, follow the genuine curiosity, take the pressure off of yourself, and genuinely want to learn more about others, I promise you, people are going to feel so comfortable and safe in your presence. In turn, that's going to make you feel much more comfortable. and will have you absolutely mastering social confidence. If you have made it this far, I thank you so much for watching. I would so appreciate if you could give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below, as it really helps me out. I want to thank you guys so much for 5,000 subscribers. I cannot believe we are here. I truly just want to express my deepest gratitude to every single one of you. So thank you for being here, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Bye.